All right, good morning or good afternoon. It is September 13th, 2019. For the sake of this video, for me right now in the current moment, it is September 12th still, Thursday night. It is a great and glorious, 5:20 in the afternoon, in the evening. So I've been here for a real long time. I don't want to brag about that though, not trying to. What I want to let you know for this video is it's about the experiments that I was trying to do with you, the elephant toothpaste, but what I want to tell you is I failed. My experiment failed. So, I want to tell you how it failed, why it failed, and what I did to get as far as I did. So, first step, now, I heard a lot of you asking me about the elephant toothpaste. So, I wanted to do that for you, so I researched how to do it. Now, the YouTube video that I watched, I watched a couple to look at how their different reactions went. And after a certain time, I liked this video, and this was like my recipe list, okay? So I needed 10% hydrogen peroxide, some dish soap, food coloring, and yeast. Now, the bottom three are easy: dish soap, food coloring, and yeast. But as I'm about to tell you, the 10% hydrogen peroxide was a problem. So I went to Walmart to go buy my supplies, and if you've ever seen this before, okay, this is hydrogen peroxide. Now, what's interesting, what I knew was going to be a problem, is normal hydrogen peroxide is not strong enough, okay? So I'm going to try and show you here, okay? On that active ingredients right there, you should see that it says hydrogen peroxide, but only 3%. So as soon as I saw that, I knew something was going to go wrong. But that's okay, I knew that. So I still did the experiment, I still tried it, and I learned from it, okay? My other ingredients were yeast, dish soap, and my hydrogen peroxide, as well as food coloring. Now, I didn't use food coloring. I did buy some little Kool-Aid packets to give it color, but you'll see here they look nice and yummy and brown because I couldn't even get it to work. So what I want to show you is I have 3 different beakers, 3 different tubes, and each of them was a different experiment. So I'm going to go through each of them and explain how I failed, but explain how I also tried to save the experiment and get it to work. So, number 1, what I did, this one up here. Now, what I did with this one was you have to put the yeast in hot water. So that's like your first step. It's got to wake up. So I did that. Now, what I did, though, is I made my mixture too runny. It was too much water. So I put the hydrogen peroxide in the beaker, I put the soap in the beaker, and then I pour in the hot yeast water. And what you can see here is it has separated. So the yeast water is on the bottom, and then this is the dish soap slash other hydrogen peroxide in the middle, and then those bubbles are just from the yeast. Now, what I also want to show you, you should see this, you should see right there in the middle of my finger that residue line. Okay, so that's as far as it went. It only went up that high. So it actually didn't even travel all the way up the beaker. It didn't even come out of the beaker. So I knew I did something wrong. And I also used the Rapid Rise Instant Yeast. I bought 2 different kinds. So I thought, okay, I must have mixed the yeast water wrong. I had too much water. So on my next experiment, what I did is I used this active dry yeast, a little bit different from this one. Again, true scientist trying to get a lot of different ingredients to see what works and what doesn't. I also was very sure to mix the what I call yeast batter a little bit differently. So with this camera here, you can see these are 2 mixtures that went really well. When I move this around, you see that puddle that's moving around. Okay, so that's the yeast water. That blob is some of the yeast just caked up. So I poured that yeast into this beaker with the hydrogen peroxide and the soap, and it actually traveled all the way up the beaker. So you can see there are some bubbles still left, but then if I come up close, you should notice that little bit of residue, okay? So it did actually make it to the top. So that was a better experiment, but it still didn't even leave the beaker. So I was still disappointed. I was like, okay, final chance. I think, I know I mixed the yeast right. This yeast actually works much better than the Rapid Rise. And I know I put in the right amount of soap as well, so I knew my issue was with the hydrogen peroxide. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to Walgreens. I'm going to try and get something stronger. I talked to the pharmacist, and he said that if I wanted anything stronger than 3%, though, I'd have to order that at like a lab supply store. So that's an exact example of why we don't do our homework the night before, because I've already talked to the office and everything, and I can order the lab material that I need to do this experiment, but it really isn't as easy as it looks. It requires materials. You can't buy it Walmart, Walgreens, Meijer, wherever. You have to buy these things either through like a special seller on Amazon or through I use a certain company called Flynn Scientific. That's the people who made our science contracts. So I went to Walgreens. They couldn't help me, but I still wanted to leave with something. So I tried this 70% ethyl rubbing alcohol. Now, I'm going to show you the label because, again, I bought this knowing it might not work, but active ingredient is ethyl alcohol 70%. Now, what's true about alcohol is it kind of kills living things. So what I'm about to show you is our number 3 here is with the ethyl rubbing alcohol. And what you should notice, there's again another separation. So there's water on the top and dish soap, alcohol and the dish soap. And then this is starting to solidify a little bit. So at the bottom, it's starting to get thick, and it's kind of icky. So the alcohol just didn't even let the yeast bubble up, just like the other two. So I just wanted to show you this because even though I did the experiment wrong and I had the wrong supplies, I knew that, I still carried out the experiment. I still learned a lot from it. And again, what I want to tell you is, I won't be doing the demonstration today, but maybe sometime next week, we will be able to do the elephant toothpaste. So hold tight, be patient with me, and I will do my best to be there for you. Okay? So let's have a great Friday. Thank you all.